Jean McConville left few traces. She disappeared at a chaotic time, and the children she left behind were so young that many of them had yet to form a rich catalogue of memories. But one photograph of Jean survives, a snapshot taken in front of the family's home in East Belfast in the mid-1960s. Jean stands alongside 3 of her children while her husband Arthur squats in the foreground. She stares at the camera, arms folded across her chest, lips pursed into a smile, eyes squinting against the sun. One detail that several of her children would recall about Jean McConville is a nappy pin, a blue safety pin which she wore fastened to her clothes because one child or another was always missing a button or needing some other repair. It was her defining accessory. She was born Jean Murray in 1934 to Thomas and May Murray, a Protestant couple in East Belfast. Belfast was a sooty, grey city of chimneys and steeples, flanked by a flat green mountain on one side and the Belfast Lough, an inlet of the North Channel on the other. It had linen mills and tobacco factories, a deep-water harbour where ships were built, and row upon row of identical brick workers' houses. The Murrays lived on Avonale Road, not far from the Harland and Wolff shipyard where the Titanic had been built. Jean's father worked at Harland and Wolff. Every morning when she was a child, he would join the thousands of men plodding past her house on their way to the shipyard, and every evening he would return as the procession of men plodded home in the opposite direction. When the Second World War broke out, Belfast's linen factories produced millions of uniforms and the shipyards churned out navy vessels. Then, one night in 1941, not long before Jean's 7th birthday, air raid sirens wailed as a formation of Luftwaffe bombers streaked across the waterfront, scattering parachute mines and incendiary bombs, and Harland and Wolff erupted into flame. Educating girls was not much of a priority in working-class Belfast in those days, so when Jean was 14, she left school and went in search of work. She ended up finding a job as a servant for a Catholic widow who lived on nearby Hollywood Road. The widow's name was Mary McConville, and she had a grown son, an only child named Arthur, who served in the British Army. Arthur was 12 years older than Jean and very tall. He towered over Jean, who stood barely 5 feet in her shoes. He came from a long line of soldiers, and he told her stories about how he had gone off to fight the Japanese in Burma during the war. When Jean and Arthur fell in love, the fact that they came from different sides of the religious divide did not go unnoticed by their families. Sectarian tensions were less pronounced during the 1950s than they had been in the past or would become again, but even so, mixed relationships were rare. This was true not just for reasons of tribal solidarity, but because Protestants and Catholics tended to live in circumscribed worlds. They resided in different neighbourhoods, attended different schools, worked different jobs, frequented different pubs. By entering Arthur's mother's house as a domestic employee, Jean had crossed these lines. When she took up with Arthur, his mother resented it. Jean's mother may not have been delighted either, but she accepted the marriage, though one of Jean's uncles, a member of the Orange Order, gave her a beating for the transgression.